Hello everybody and welcome to the third video of my new Python for Beginners course. In this video we're going to learn about standard input, and that means getting input from the user. You're going to learn about arithmetic operators, and that's used to perform some calculations in your Python code. You're also going to learn how these different arithmetic operators behave with different data types. And in the end we're going to create a simple calculator to merge all of the things you've learned together in a simple project. So let's get started. Let's begin with standard input. What is standard input? Standard input is a way to get input from the user. So the user can type something and the program will catch that input and store it somewhere in a variable. So how do we get input? Well, in Python we do that using the input function. Now let's run this code. You don't see anything right now in the shell, but you'll notice that you can type something. And we can type something because of this input function. To escape this input function, just press enter, and now the program stops. So this input function allows us to get some input from the user, but this input should be stored somewhere, and we can store that in a variable. So instead of just typing the input function, we can set the input function to a variable. So we can say x equals input. Now whatever we type in here will be stored in the variable x, and we can see that by printing the value of x. So this program takes an input, it stores the value of that input in x, and then it prints the value of x. So again, hello, and now it prints hello. Now using this input function without any arguments isn't the best way, because it doesn't give some information to the user about what the user should input. We can change that by giving it an argument between these parentheses. So a common use of the input function is to get someone's name. Then we can type here, what is your name? And this string right here just gives some context about what input the user should give. Now let's try that again. Now instead of just a blank cursor, it says, what is your name? Well, my name is DevShell. And you'll see it prints DevShell because that's the input we've given it. We can also have multiple inputs. So let's rename this x to name. And we can also have an age. We can say age equals input. What is your age? And then again we can print name and we can print age. What is your name? My name is DevShell. What's your age? My age is 17. And then it prints DevShell and 17. Arithmetic operators are built-in Python operators that allow us to perform simple arithmetic operations. The different operators are addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. So I'll show you some examples. The easiest way to use arithmetic operators is inside the print function. We can say print, for example, 5 plus 5. And this should give us 10. And in this case, the arithmetic operator is addition, and that's denoted by the plus symbol. We can also use subtraction, maybe 10 minus 7. In this case, the arithmetic operation is subtraction, and that's denoted by the minus symbol. We can also do multiplication, 2 times 3. And note that the symbol for multiplication is the star symbol, and you can type this symbol by using Shift 8. Now this gives us 6. And lastly, division, 10 divided by 5. And that's denoted by the slash symbol, and this should give us 2.0. Alright. We can also do some arithmetic operations and store that in a variable. We can say x equals 5, y equals 7, and then we can say z equals x plus y. Now if you print z, This should give us 12. We have performed these operations with integers, but that doesn't have to be the case. We can also use floating type numbers. Now, instead of 12, it gives us 12.0, so also a floating type number. We can also do them between integers and floating type numbers. So 5.0 plus 7. We can also get negative numbers, so x minus y. Or we can say negative 2 minus 5. And this gives us 3. So we get negative 2 minus 5. So arithmetic operators with numbers is really basic, and it's something we've probably all have learned in school. But in Python, you can also do some arithmetic operators using strings. Here's an example of that. Print hello plus hi. Now, before we gonna execute this code, try to think about what this input might be. Okay, let's run it. So performing the addition operator on strings simply concatenates these strings together. Using the subtraction operator on strings is not possible and will result in an error, as you can see here. Same goes for the division operator, but it is possible to use the multiplication operator, and that will simply copy this code 3 times. So this is the same as hello plus hello plus hello. Alright, let's build a simple calculator. This calculator should take 2 numbers as an input, and then it should calculate the sum of these numbers and then print that value. So let's get started. Let's say number 1 equals input, and number 2 equals input again. Now if we run this code, it will give us 1 input, then a second input, and then the program stops. But just using the input function isn't clear, so we should give a parameter to give the user an idea of what this input should be. Enter the first number, and in num2 let's do enter the second number. Now it's more clear for the user. So it says enter the first number, let's say 5, enter the second number, let's say 2. The program doesn't do anything with these numbers, so we should change that. The output sum should be num1 plus num2. And now we should output the sum, so let's say print output sum. Alright, let's try it. We'll say enter the first number 5, enter the second number 7, and now this output should be 12. The output is 75, and that's not what we want. It outputs 75 because it treats the output of this input function as a string. So what's behind num1 and num2 is not 5 plus 7 as an integer, but 5 plus 7 as strings, and this results in 75 as a string. So to fix this, we should convert the input function to an integer. So we can say int and close it. And what this does, it takes the input from the user and converts that to an integer using the int function. And we should do that too with num2, like this. Close that. And now if we run that again, it should give us 12. So now we have created a simple calculator. We are doing addition. We can also use multiplication, for example, by changing the arithmetic operator right here. 2, 3, and that gives us 6. What I want you to remember from this video is that the input function in Python is used to get user input. Arithmetic operators are used to perform mathematical calculations. And you should also remember that these operators behave differently on different data types. So an operator behaves differently on an integer, and it also behaves differently on a string. And at last, you should also remember that the input function always outputs a string by default. You can change the data type using different functions, and we'll go into some more detail about those functions in the next video. I will hopefully see you in the next video. And thank you for watching. Bye!